I saw Wes Anderson's new film Asteroid City the other day, and it really got me thinking about the argument of style over substance and whether his directing style really has any substance behind it, because when I left this showing, I initially thought he lost me as a fan. It's always been sort of a meme with Wes Anderson films. It's sort of the film student's favorite director. Every shot is symmetrical. He has this very distinct style, more distinct, I would say, than most other directors, because I feel like for the most part, another director can direct another film and that there will be people that are like, oh, Christopher Nolan directed this? No wonder it's so good. But like, you wouldn't be like, oh, Wes Anderson directed this? No, you would know if Wes Anderson directed it. But as someone with a film degree, I have always been a Wes Anderson fan, and I've always just really enjoyed his movies for what they are. While they are always pretty much the same, you can't really get what he brings from any other director. But over the years, it has kind of gotten more grating, and I think I felt that more with his newest films. He definitely lost me a lot with The French Dispatch, which I respected a lot from an artistic standpoint, but it was one of those things where I would have to watch it 2-3 more times at least just to catch all the dialogue. And that was the same with Asteroid City, where I was kind of after a while like, yo, I've missed half these conversations because they're just talking and talking so much. It's like I'm reading a book. Whereas I think some of his earlier films, there would be a little more, not necessarily action, but I think he worked more to try to entertain an audience rather than his newer stuff seems more like passion projects that he's really just making this for him and doesn't really care if you're too engaged or enthralled by it. Grand Budapest Hotel has always been one of my favorite films. Moonrise Kingdom's up there too. The Life Aquatic, all some of my favorite movies. I think his style is so great sometimes, and that he really brings something special and like a special charm out of these actors. After French Dispatch, I was like, oh, I don't know if he's going in this direction or if this was just a one-off artistic thing he wanted to do. Then with Asteroid City, I was like, oh, we're gonna get some classic, enjoyable Wes Anderson again. It kind of threw me for a loop. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, but what I got ended up making me respect him so much more. It was kind of like he knew that his style has been made a meme of, and this movie sort of served as like a meta commentary that there doesn't always have to be a substance, that you don't have to be looking deeper into these things. After I watched a few explained videos about it and actually understood more of what I just watched, I began to be less disappointed and more just really respect the whole message, because it just clicked and I was like, wow, okay, I'm exactly who he was talking to here. It's like a commentary sort of calling out the people that expect more or dig deeper to try to find meaning in his movies where there really just isn't any and there doesn't need to be any. I'm going to talk a little more specifically about Asteroid City and the meaning, so spoilers ahead. Be warned, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I definitely recommend the movie. Anyway, Asteroid City, after about the first act of this movie, I realized it wasn't going to be what I thought it was. It was sort of advertised as more of like a, oh, Wes Anderson made an alien movie, and that was really intriguing. I was like, oh, this sounds so fun. But no, the alien barely matters in this movie, and that's kind of the point. The second the movie starts, it's already very meta, as the Asteroid City story itself is actually a play that's taking place inside this world, so it goes in between the actual events of Asteroid City and then these black and white scenes that are basically behind the scenes, the writing and production of this play, and what went on behind the scenes of the production. And that's where it kind of lost me along the way, because in the Asteroid City story, it's basically this stargazer convention that's happening in this little desert town called Asteroid City, where all these incredibly smart kids have made these insane inventions and are being awarded for it. And that's when, during one of these conventions, an alien comes down, gets out of his little spacecraft, and grabs the asteroid that gives this city its name. And it's all very underwhelming, but that's the point. They're in quarantine, but then like a week passes and the alien coming is already old news. There's these different groups that are there with sort of this contrast between this very religious cowboy group that views everything in a religious angle, and then there's like the kids and the main family that is very atheist and views everything in a much more nihilist way, which I didn't really appreciate the juxtaposition between those until afterwards. But essentially, without getting too deep into the plot of this movie, so much of it just starts to feel like there's no meaning for it happening, which as a viewer, it got a little aggravating. But then there's a point in the movie where it sort of breaks the fourth wall, and during a scene, the character steps out from the stage and then approaches the writer and says, I I don't understand my character. I don't understand the meaning of this play. I don't know what I'm doing. And then the writer is just like, you're doing it great. You don't have to understand the meaning. There is no meaning. Just keep doing what you're doing. Go put on a show. That's when it stuck to me that I was like, this is Wes Anderson talking to the audience right now, that these movies don't necessarily have to have a meaning. These things occur, and at the end of the day, none of it really matters. So it kind of had this nihilist view that nothing matters and that meaning in art doesn't really matter as much as people make it out to be. Realizing that was what the meaning was, I was like, oh my god, my brain. And I love the movie so much more after realizing that. Very interesting movie. I definitely think a lot of people would be disappointed if they were expecting something like Grand Budapest Hotel or something. But if you liked French Dispatch, you would probably really like this movie. But yeah, Wes Anderson, Asteroid City. Good movie. I'm excited to see what Wes Anderson does next. It seems like he's really sort of evolving in an artistic way lately. If you liked the video, feel free to leave a like, and if you really liked the video, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye.